I think it's important to point out that Bronwyn was also a single mother. However, for the last, I believe they're married 10 years. So since her daughter was 11, my understanding is Bronwyn has not been working. So from when her daughter, if she's graduating college, assume she's 20, 21. So from when her daughter was 10 or 11 years old, she had Todd's financial support. Now, I'm just going to say, Heather has to also work. And not only does she work, she runs 2 very successful businesses, and she's on Housewives.
Welcome to Cocktails and Gossip, the podcast where we drink cocktails, but you better believe we're going to spill the tea. We chat reality TV, celebrity blinds, and the hottest tea from BravoandCocktails.com. And as always, it's all alleged and just for fun. We do not verify our blinds. I'm B.
And I'm Amanda. Let's get into this week's tea.
What's up, cocktailers? Hello, Amanda.
Hi, cocktailers. Hi, B. You sound like Phoebe when she got her sexy voice on Friends.
Hi, it's officially fall, and like literally the day, what was it, the 22nd, I woke up with a head cold. I never know. Is it just like allergy season change? I don't have body aches or anything, but I just have a head cold. I feel tired. I have a comfy sweatshirt on.
Back to school crud, I feel like.
Germs.
Like, you know, like everybody gets back together in these small spaces and spread germs, and it's inevitable.
It's inevitable.
But it is like, I'm loving fall. It's officially here. We just had our first kind of chilly day, and I really am aware of the fact that I'm sounding like one of those autumn people. Like, it's fall, y'all, but here I am because I feel like I loved fall before all these other people did.
Well, I love seasons. I probably have said this on this pod every single time we've transitioned. That's why, as much as I'm like, oh, I want to live in a warm climate, give me San Diego or something like that, and I'm sure it's gorgeous to live there, I like a transition because you get like 4 new chances at life.
I agree. And I think I'm in the minority here, but I absolutely love snow. It's like I
love snow on a Saturday from my window, starting with a warm cup of coffee, midday wine. Like, I don't love snow when I have to get my kids to school, get myself to work, do all like the life things.
Yeah.
But I do like it. Like, I'm cool with the coating, but if it's more than like 6 inches, everything needs to be canceled.
Yeah, I agree, because then you stay inside with your cocoa,
yes,
your music, and
your snacks.
Yes.
I love nothing like shopping for an impending snow day. I think if I had to choose 5 things that bring me joy, that would be in my 5 things, like including everything, like including like a trip on a yacht, which I've never done and probably never will. But an impending snow day.
What do you buy for a snow day? What do you buy?
Oh, what don't I buy? I cook all day. I just make all the things.
Yeah.
I buy like obviously a sweet. I'm not even a sweets person, but you like have to have a chocolate chip cookie or a pie or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Something hearty, a stew or like a good pasta.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree. I'm the same. I always make
bacon,
pancakes.
Everything, yes.
Yeah. I literally have a really funny picture I took of myself. I don't know. This would have been, close to 8-9 years ago. And I was in my big Ugg boots, my nightgown with a coat over it, and I just literally ran to the grocery store because the snow was not expected and was buying all of my things. And I'm like, I look like literally a crazy woman.
But it's totally acceptable at that point.
It is.
You could run in there in your robe and nobody would even flinch.
I know, seriously. So yeah, I hope we get at least one good one and not too much, so that like the shoveling isn't too much of a pain.
New York City has not had a lot of snow the past few years at all. Global warming and all that. But I don't know. Let's see this year.
I know. It's so crazy too, because if you really think about it, like so many movies show New York City in the winter with lots of snow on the ground.
Look, I just feel like we've had very mild winters. We've had snow, but not like feet.
Yeah,
upstate,
not like
but like the city, no.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, let's start out with Salt Lake City, because I feel like everyone's the most excited, including me, about it. So first, before we get into all the drama, Were you a little bit confused by we never got to hear what the scary thing was that happened? We just saw black and white scary video, but they never explained it.
It was like a clickbait thing, right? Like they wanted us to tune in for the Blair Witch Project, but really it was just them in the dark realizing it was a terrible idea and bears could get them, which valid. But can I just say that Meredith and I think it was Whitney waking up in those chairs? Like, I'm sorry. Who is doing this?
I was like, there's not even room for them to sleep fully laying down.
Like, and believe me, I am not bougie. I fly economy. I am too old to sleep on a chair. You know, there were days in my college days, I think I slept at a friend's house, like used an area rug, ew, gross, as a blanket because it was like cold and that's all there was. I am not at this age sleeping in an RV with 8 other women in a chair.
Yeah. What I thought was very interesting, because I'm like, this is clearly an ad for, like a promotion for Camping World for RVs.
Yeah.
But I'm like, are they targeting the right audience, first of all? And are they really making this look glamorous? Because it looked tight to me. I just have to say, those RVs, like I have gone, like driving upstate, stopped and went. Like they are super cool. And I would be so down with doing a trip like that with a couple of people where everybody had a bed. Yeah. Or like with your family. I would totally do it with my family. But 6, 7 women? No, oh God, I just said 6, 7. Ugh.
Oh, don't even. When is it going to go away? And like toddlers, I was at my kid's game and this little sibling was like 6, 7. And I'm like, you're 2.
Oh my God, that's so cute, because I bet their siblings were like teaching the kid how to do it.
Yes.
That's actually cute. It's not cute when you have tweens and teens who say it all the time. It's like, please stop.
Please.
Okay, so let's see here. Where are we? Okay, I want to start with Whitney sharing. So she talks even more about her business failure, and then they actually show like a flashback from earlier that week of her and Justin on the couch, and Whitney's face is all puffy and crying.
It's
definitely been
what a smart move. Like in comparison to how so many housewives try to lie and dip and dodge, say they can't talk about it, dance around it. It is refreshing that she's addressing it head on. The fact that her business failed, like she has to figure this out. They put everything into this. Smart of her. Like with me, I always question Whitney. I think I like her the most so far that I ever have, because I always feel there's something not genuine about it. With that said, very smart move. And I saw she shared it to her socials. I guess she rebranded her original skincare. Her taking ownership of this failure certainly makes me, and I'm sure the viewers, want to help her and want to support her. Like I'm looking at her, I'm like, she's a hardworking woman. She's owning the fact that the fact that she made a business mistake and her family is paying for it. So it makes me want to and I probably will click and buy something and support her. And I think that the viewers will. I think that it is nice to see the honesty. Even if she's not fully honest about the MLM portion of it, she is sitting there, her husband is sitting there saying, we put all our eggs in this basket and it failed and we're in trouble. And there's something about that makes us root for her.
Well, yeah. And for her to say now all I really want to do is stay home with my kids, but I don't have a choice. I've got to figure out a way to make money. That may have been one of the more vulnerable things I've seen a housewife say. I can only imagine that's got to be terrifying to be in your 40s and have to start all over. So I do think it was partially a strategic move of her to share it, only because obviously I don't think she failed her business on purpose for a storyline, but as a way to add contrast to where Lisa in Delulu land is, I think it was probably also partly a strategic move to be so vulnerable and to share so much, but I'm here for it.
And also, then if you look at Justin, if we remember, Justin is older than her. I forget how many years older than her, but I remember it in the beginning. He was kind of her boss or a boss at a company and pretty established. So they had a strong foundation, and in an effort to expand, which again, I'm not faulting them for. People do that, right? People don't want to stay stagnant. They ended up losing their solid foundation. That's scary.
Yeah.
But whereas many women would just on these shows deny it and act like it wasn't the case. And, we had a speed bump, but we're moving ahead. They're like, nope, this is it. We're broke.
Right. In that same kind of scene, they're all sitting around the campfire outside after breakfast, after eating the weird steak. Heather,
That was so
it was
random,
weird.
just meat in the morning.
Like, God, pick up some sandwich trays, Angie. Like,
Yeah.
do the bare minimum. Heather shares that she can't wait, that her daughter is a senior. She can't wait for her to go away to college, that she's ready for that hands-on phase of parenting to be over. And so I wanted to talk about this. I know you did too, because first of all, I have not read Heather's books, although I kind of want to. She never talked about the fact that she had full custody of all three kids. Not that I recall her ever saying that. And so, guys, like, this means, and not to sound like didactic, but that means she's been responsible for every single meal, all the school pickups, just tracking all those kids on Life 360, all those carpools. Like, that's literally what B and I were talking about today before we got on the call. Like, it's just like all of the mom logistic stuff. That's a really heavy weight to carry. And it's a blessing to be able to carry it, but it's a heavy weight. And I understand really where she's coming from. It's not so much a like, I want to be selfish now kind of thing, as more of it is like, I want to feel that relief of successfully launching all three of my girls and just take a breath kind of moment. Because like I said, like the PTO meetings, the sports, like the mom, people are like, oh, but it gets easier once your kids can drive. And it's like, no, like there's still like all the mom booster clubs, and then there's college applications.
And the worry of them driving.
Yeah. And
I'd rather drive.
I know, me too. Like, stayed up until 12:30 so that, you're making sure that your kid gets home safely. And keep in mind, she did all this on her own while also launching and growing a successful business. So, of course, Heather wants to spend time with them and be in their lives, but I think she's just ready for that hectic to be over, because that's three kids, and she's been carrying that weight for a long time.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, then we hear Bronwyn say, well, I don't want it to be over, so I'm having Gwen and her boyfriend move in because I'm not ready to be a hands-off parent. And so I'm really curious to know what you thought. Was that a dig? I love Bronwyn, but it sounded judgy to me, especially in a society where, like Heather says, mothering is supposed to be the highest calling.
Well, to answer your question at the end, before I get into like the Heather piece of it, I think it's important to point out that Bronwyn was also a single mother. However, for the last, I believe they're married 10 years. So since her daughter was 11, my understanding is Bronwyn has not been working. So from when her daughter, if she's graduating college, assume she's 20, 21. So from when her daughter was 10 or 11 years old, she had Todd's financial support. Now, I'm just going to say, Heather has to also work. And not only does she work, she runs two very successful businesses, and she's on Housewives.
And where she has to be there. She has to be at the place. This is not just a work from home job where she's out there shaking hands, running things.
So she's raising three girls where, shockingly, their father never had custody, so he only ever came over to visit. So she was responsible for them every night. I'm going to assume she was largely responsible for getting them to and from their activities, sports, school events, all of that. I think that Bronwyn was really showing a financial privilege, because if you are able, like Todd is, okay, so she's a single mom, yes. But from the time she was 10, Todd financially supported them. So Bronwyn didn't have to run to a job if she didn't want to, because she could just be the mother. She could just take her to the sports, to the this, to the that. I just think it changes the picture so very much. Being parents have different arrangements, but the idea that none of her three children were ever overnight with their father. Remember, Heather also doesn't speak to her parents and a lot of her siblings. So I don't know what her support system looked like, and I'm sure she has friends that were able to carpool with her. But when you don't have a family support system, you can't go away for a night. You can't do a work trip, because she runs this business. And we know that in the med spa, there are all these different conferences and all of these things. I don't know. I don't think it was Bronwyn's intention, but it came off. I understand why Heather felt insulted. And I'm going to say something else that I probably shouldn't because I'm probably going to get yelled at, but I can't help myself. 3 kids and 1 kid is different. I have 2 kids, and I have always been very clear. Much respect to all parents, and every child presents their own challenges, but just the sheer number, 3 is more than 1, 3 is more than 2. I have often said to you, Amanda, I don't know how I would do it if I had. I would have to obviously hire somebody to help me just transport the kids to things, right? Because my kids are not at the age where they can drive. I am fortunate that I do have friends and we carpool and things of that nature, but I don't have a mom who's around, sadly, to help with those sort of things. I do have a sister-in-law and like family help, but they all have their own kids and their own sports and their own clubs. And so like, I totally get where Heather's coming from. Yeah. And I really appreciated when Mary turned around, Mary, who is very out of touch, and said to Heather, I have 1 son, and Robert Sr. was a very active father, and we really were partners in raising our child. I can't imagine if I had to do that with 3. And she even went so far as to say, I actually know that I would not have been able to do that, number 1, by myself, and number 2, with 3 kids. And I think that was important to point out. The same way that I couldn't understand certain dynamics of other family relationships, like having 3 kids. Yeah.
Hi, cocktailers. This episode of Cocktails and Gossip is brought to you by CBDX. And if you've been tossing and turning at night, this is for you. A lot of us hit a point where sleep just changes. It's harder to fall asleep. We wake up in the night and we start the day already tired. This is not just in your head. Sleep struggles are very common, especially when stress and long days pile up. That's why so many people are discovering the power of cannabinoids. Yes, cannabinoids can be fun, but the benefits go way beyond recreation. People are using them to manage stress, ease discomfort, support mood, and finally get real rest. And here's the thing. A lot of people used to turn to a glass of wine or a nightcap to wind down, but more and more are choosing a healthier, natural alternative, one that actually supports better sleep instead of disrupting it. That's why CBDX's lights out, sugar-free, THC, and CBN sleep gummies come in. CBDX gummies are made for restorative sleep, not partying. Each blends indica-based THC for relaxation, CBN for sleep quality, plus glycine, chamomile, L-theanine, and just 1 milligram of melatonin. Guys, I can't tell you, I have struggled with sleep pretty much my entire life. Definitely when I am extra stressed out or anxious about something, it makes sleep even harder. And I will tell you from trying these gummies, that very peaceful sleep, not the really, I didn't get the really like crazy kind of knocked out sleep, but just the really peaceful sleep where you wake up and you feel rested and you feel like you actually got sleep, was my experience with these lights out sugar-free THC and CBN sleep gummies. So the CBX gummies are naturally sweetened with monk fruit, no chemicals, no weird aftertaste. You take one, drift off gently, stay asleep, and wake up clear-headed. No hangover, no grogginess. And CBDX isn't just about sleep. They've got THC sativa blends for creativity, hybrids for balance, indicas for deep relaxation, and premium non-THC gummies with cannabinoids like CBG, CBD, CBC, and CBN, each with unique wellness benefits. So if you're ready to feel better every day, visit CBDX.com and use code GOSSIP for 20% off your first order. CBDX, plant-powered wellness you can trust. CBDX.com, code GOSSIP. Get 20% off your first order and get the sleep you deserve.
Like me, you've probably seen a million ads for hair growth products and thought, sure, like that actually works. I did too, until I found out that Nutrafol isn't like the rest of them. Nutrafol is physician formulated, clinically tested, and dermatologists recommended. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. You can feel great about what you're putting into your body since Nutrafol's hair growth supplements are backed by peer-reviewed studies and NSF content certified, the gold standard in third-party certification for supplements. Adding Nutrafol into your daily routine is simple. Purchase online, no prescription required. Automated deliveries and free shipping keep you on track. Plus, with the Nutrafol subscription, you save up to 20%. You'll have access to free one-on-one naturopathic doctor consults to support you on your hair growth journey. And a Headspace meditation membership is included. See thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code GOSSIP. Find out why Nutrafol is the best-selling hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com. Promo code GOSSIP. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code GOSSIP.
It's true. Like, I was like, you're in literally 3 different places sometimes with 3 different, like, I agree, hats off to Heather. But do you think it was more like what Bronwyn then later said at lunch? Or do you think that
I think that
she
Bronwyn
did mean
realized it. And I think that Bronwyn tried to reel it back in because I don't necessarily think it was her intention. I think also to give Bronwyn credit, from 0 to whenever she met Todd, we know that she was briefly married to somebody else, but she was a single mom, right? And she was working. So she does know the struggle of having to be a working mom and doing it on your own, because Bronwyn's father was never involved and then deceased. And I don't know, in what capacity her husband before Todd was involved. But so I think probably when she stepped away from the conversation, she saw like, ooh, well, that didn't come off right. And I think she was right to like say to Heather, that's not what I meant. I sometimes think I wasn't a good enough mother. Like, we all carry guilt and whatever in our parenting. But I think that Heather was really honest, because you hear so much, and I know anyone listening who has kids, just in the grocery store, the sweet old lady, well-meaning, who says, enjoy it, it goes so fast. And like, the days are long, but the years are short, and we all know this. I get it.
As your kid is like wiping boogers on the shopping cart and licking handrails at the airport, you're like, oh my God, I just want to get through this stage.
Yeah, like when I'm running from work to pick them up from school, to get them to the first activity, to then figuring out if I even have time to cook, or if I'm going to have to spend some ridiculous amount of money on some sort of takeout that I don't even want because I don't have time, and they're like Bronwyn, it's different when you have privilege, which I think, and listen, obviously Heather makes good money, right? She can afford the takeout. There were years she didn't and couldn't. She built that on her own. And I don't think it was intentional by Bronwyn, and I do think that Bronwyn at lunch gave her grace. And I would say that Heather didn't really receive it as gracefully as she could have either.
I didn't think so either, but I think with their history, I think that, I don't know, I don't blame Heather for taking it harder and having a hard time with kind of letting it go, because it really did. Like I said, I don't think that was her intention, but it did really come off as a dig and like kind of playing to that mom guilt thing, which that's a real, as you brought it up, it's a real thing. And to kind of poke there is a really not, I don't think that's a good place to be poking.
Yeah, no one needs to be critical of good parents, are plenty critical of themselves without any outside noise.
Right. And we come in all shapes and sizes too. So Whitney asks Mary about Robert Jr. and God bless Mary, because she's very honest about it. She's like, he's got highs and lows. And I think the big thing that she said is, we had this conversation with him that said, you have the tools and you know what you need to do, and we're not going to babysit you anymore. And that's got to be had to have been a hard conversation. And we'll talk a little bit more, I think, about when she actually talks with him.
I mean, and you have to respect Mary for putting this on our screens because it is something that so many of us deal with, whether it's our children, our siblings, our parents, addiction, and the struggle of loving someone and trying to help them while knowing that it is completely out of your control. And, you know, while you can provide them the tools and resources, ultimately what's best for Robert Jr. is going to have to be accomplished by Robert Jr. Mary is hopeful and so supportive, which you can see he appreciates. And he kind of, in their conversation, you saw he carried guilt, right? He was like, I'm not in as dark of a place and I'm better and I've stopped hanging out with the people and I miss them because they were my friends. And him and Mary have a nice, and she's not judgmental in the conversation. And it's interesting because she had the whole church, and I'm interested to see if she mentions it this season. And then there was some scandal with the church, which we've gotten into in depth. But I can see why she would be a really good pastor, because that conversation, she was honest with him without like ridicule.
Right.
Which isn't easy. And especially as a parent, and any of us who have children who have made bad choices, as they do, know that it's hard in those moments to not be critical and judgmental, and you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
While still communicating like you can't do this.
You could see the pain in her face as she was trying to be supportive. And all I can imagine when I see that situation is like she's looking at her son, like the little boy that she remembered, and having such a hard time reconciling him making these choices that are clearly destructive. And his affect when he was having that conversation, when he is weirdly like smiling, and
he was high.
Yeah.
He said he's
I hate that she's still going through it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that she's showing us this.
Oh, absolutely.
Heather and Lisa go to lunch, and of course Lisa wants to know, you know, did everybody talk about her? And Heather tells her Bronwyn bought all of the lawsuits on the trip. It felt like she was just there to annihilate you. And then Lisa, of course, she's like, well, one was dismissed, one's on the way to get dismissed. It's completely meritless. You guys will remember that I did a mini dive last week on these lawsuits. Definitely go back and listen just to that part if you haven't. There's a lot of details in there, and they didn't sound meritless. I'll just put it that way.
You know, Lisa wants to wave a wand, make this go away. She doesn't want to address it, calling it meritless and dumb. The reality is this is public record. It was in the Salt Lake Tribune, and if you do a quick Google search, you can get all of the actual court documents.
Right.
And then she insults any of them bringing that primarily Bronwyn, but she'll insult anybody that brings it up. I apologize for this cold, guys. Telling them that they're not smart, and if they were smart, they would know it was nothing. They're suing her because she's a top bitch. It's an old disgruntled business partner. She doesn't mention that there are actual settlements, right? If it was nothing, you wouldn't have settled.
Right.
She doesn't mention that she acknowledges in the public records via text messages that she borrowed the money. She says John doesn't know about the money. She doesn't want John to know she's been drawing on these loans. So that's like a disconnect, right? Because he may know that there's this loan there to be possibly used in the future, but she was drawing, based on the public documents, she was drawing on those funds and buying clothes. So and Bronwyn is like, girl, you could yell, you could call me a gout dick sucker, you could do all of it, but I'm going to keep stating the facts that I read in public court documents.
And you do bring up a very good point about the cases all being settled. Generally, especially if there's if somebody were to sue me tomorrow with a completely meritless claim saying I owed them $600,000, you think I'm going to settle that case? Absolutely not. Because if I didn't borrow the money, then why?
There are times that people just settle. As an example, if somebody slips on a sidewalk and sues the city, it sometimes is cheaper for the township or the city to just settle with that person for $5,000 or $10,000 than to pay a lawyer and drag it out. In a case where you're a Lisa Barlow who's so indignant and so proud of your business, if you had the means, you would rather get the victory in court and pay the attorneys like Cardi B just did to be like, I'm not settling with you to just make this go away. I didn't do this. This isn't based in fact, and I'm going to spend my resources to prove this publicly. And Cardi B is the perfect example. Cardi B could have given that girl $10,000 and made her go away. Cardi was like, fuck that. I'll spend $100,000 because I can on a case that will be televised. And I'll let everybody know, if you come for me, I have the means, I have the time, and I will meet you in court too, because nobody's going to make money off nonsense claims. Lisa didn't do that.
You guys, there's a pattern. And every single one of those lawsuits was about debt and borrowing. So one of them we mentioned was from a debt collection agency. Every single, other one was about a personal debt. So it's hard for me to believe that all 6 of those were just completely meritless. And I don't see any way that you can really convince me otherwise, honestly.
And Lisa just seemed concerned with who backed her up when the claims were made. Heather didn't even bother to mention that Brittany stood up for her, which I found funny. I take that more to mean like nobody takes Brittany seriously. Lisa was very upset that Angie and Meredith didn't stick up for her. I guess she figured they were on her side. And at the party, you can see like they're all kind of enjoying it. Even Meredith, who initially tries to be like, now's not a good time. She's mad at the ladies for not appreciating her brand and her sacrifices. When she went off on that in the confessional, I was like, how about Whitney's jewelry line that you said was from Alibaba? How about all of Bronwyn's secrets that you brought up? How about focusing on how she didn't buy the necklace? And like, you did it to them. So now that they have receipts on you, why are you shocked?
And Bronwyn, I feel like, is the only one who, Angie to a certain extent, but Bronwyn's really the only one who is willing to really, truly stand up to her. Although, Whitney feels the same way.
Yes.
Obviously, and I don't know why Lisa would have expected Angie to step up for her, because she's been awful.
I took that to mean that the same way that Lisa made a little alliance with Brittany before filming, she probably had a lunch with Angie where Angie said no, if they bring it up, I won't go there kind of thing. And she kind of didn't. I mean, she did do that one thing where she was like, sounds like Jen Shah, but she didn't get into, listen, they all know the details. Everyone at that table read all the documents we read, right?
Of course they did.
And with Whitney, she didn't want to be the one to deliver it, but stood there and backed up Bronwyn, because then Lisa would have gotten into the details. Whitney's being as transparent as she's being about the business being a failure, but she's not bringing up the MLM of it all. Remember that. There's some gray scam area there.
Yeah. And I say because I actually haven't researched into the MLM part of it, but we do know that from cocktailers that there was money that was paid to an event, to go to an event, then the event was canceled and the money was not refunded. So that is, I think, what B is referring to when she's saying there's some stuff that's a little shady regarding that. But we read the text messages literally in the court documents from Lisa's lawsuits. And, even as you mentioned, she doesn't deny taking the money and acknowledges the debt. And then we also hear that the guy had apparently opened up an Amex Platinum card for Lisa. So Whitney says this is the mystery man that Angie had brought up when, remember, we heard about the Utah Jazz ticket, floor side stuff. And so that is the piece of the puzzle that actually makes all of this make more sense. I think that also Bronwyn bringing up the fact that Lisa sent the text about not telling John to the person that they owed the money to was very juicy. And I think only Bronwyn probably would have said this because, like you said, Angie does step up to her, but Bronwyn really brought the heat on this.
And all Lisa can say back to Bronwyn is, who cares? You suck out dick. Bronwyn's like, okay, that's my husband. At least it's my husband whom I'm married to paying my Amex bill. I have court documents saying that some other guy is paying your bill and John doesn't know about it. Juicy? Yes. Let's discuss it. And no amount of screaming is going to make these women not talk about it behind Lisa's back after this. So,
oh my God, that screaming match. There were so many funny things, but first of all, I just have to bring up this house and this person and this party. What was that? Who has a formal party, standing room only, by the way? It was a legit party, not a pipe and drape we're going to have a fortune teller over here and a photo booth over here kind of Housewives party. Like, this was a legit party. What was that?
Somebody rich in Salt Lake City who I don't know if they were vying for like a friend of or wanted to be on the show, or I don't know, if I were rich and there were a Housewives show in my city and I didn't necessarily want to be on the show full time, but I wanted to flex a little bit, I'd host a party. Why not? You have the big fancy house, you have all the money. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. The whole, when Lisa and Heather had that lunch and, you know, Lisa says to Heather, I live a whole different life than you all. I play big.
Oh. And even Heather, who has her nose so far up Lisa's ass in her confessional, was like, she's so condescending. What?
Yeah. Guys, do you think that Heather probably doesn't have some pretty big construction loans or real estate loans?
Yeah, that pays her monthly note on.
Right. But I'm betting hers are actually legit and not personal loans. Okay, so back to this party. Of course, the second Lisa gets there, Brittany runs over to tell her what Angie and Bronwyn said. And of course, that Angie had compared her to Jen Shaw. So Lisa goes on the warpath.
So Lisa's willing to talk to Angie, but as soon as Bronwyn comes over and goes, hey, Lisa, like, it's me. I'm the one who brought everything up. So why don't you talk to me? She's like, you're dismissed. And when she started shouting, she's loitering. Like she's loitering at a party she was invited to. You know, this is the condescending tone. It's always there with Lisa. She's so frantic at all times. I assume it's to keep this playing big image up. It makes her look, and I guess she doesn't realize this, it just makes her look so incredibly guilty.
Yeah.
And then the insults to Bronwyn that she didn't go to college, that she's not smart, that her husband, you know, she only has anything because of her husband. It was all paper thin.
Right.
And did not stop Bronwyn from continuing with facts.
I know. Bronwyn did not stand down. And of course, Lisa deflecting by calling Bronwyn, like, what is she, a lawyer? And then, like, the whole D-sucking, yelling.
Yeah.
Which at one point, I mean, I'm just laughing at them, like, what are they even fighting about? Because one person is like, do you even suck D?
Yeah. And then Whitney's like, yeah, I do.
The people around them, it's just like the looks on everybody's faces. So funny.
And then what about... So then they randomly, like, go to the husbands, and Seth is like, so, are you in love with Brittany? And this loser ex-fiance, Jared Osmond, is like, I love her. Yes, I'm in love with her. Yeah. And they're like, no, you're not. You're not. It's like, what is happening?
He's just hanging on so he can stay on TV and be a real house husband.
And guys, I feel like you and I keep breaking down the Salt Lake episodes, but because they're so good.
They're so good. We didn't mention this, but Miami finale is this week. So we will be talking about that.
Yes, we'll break that one down.
Yeah. And OC, there wasn't, again, all that much that really happened this last week. So.
Oh, we do have something later that we touched on in Cocktail.
Oh, yeah.
But it actually came out, and another Cocktail post verified. So we'll get to that later. But we have a little Southern Charm McBee Dynasty crossover, which again, the Cocktailers all knew about. We discussed it on the Cocktail pod. So some of this will be a little bit of a repeat for our subscribers, but not really, because there's new details. We had heard that Craig was in Missouri because Craig Conover, Southern Charm, has a new fabric company. And apparently the McBees reached out, you know, all these crossovers these people are all looking to get. And the McBees, listen, good for them. They're really marketing themselves. They're trying to hang out with people from other Bravo shows. They got their BravoCon invite, so it's working.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we see Galena with the OC ladies. We've seen the McBees hanging out with Craig. And I heard that Sally would be going with Craig to hang with Steve McBee Jr. Steve Jr., guys. It's quite possible the dad would go after her, but it's Steve Jr. in this case, which we kind of knew because Sally was commenting and Steve was commenting on posts. So at the event, one of our cocktailers was there, and Steve Sr. was telling her, and I guess other people, that Sally and Steve Jr. had been hanging out, and Sally had actually been to the McBee farm before Craig's event. So started in the DMs, she was in Missouri, hung out with him and his family at the farm. So they're talking. Are they officially dating? I don't know. There's another pretty blonde. I think she may be a country singer. I'm not exactly sure that he's also been commenting on posts. He's single. He's flirting quite publicly, might I add. So do we have a McBee Southern Charm love crossover headed our way? We know that the McBees are filming. And let's face it, Sally wants to date a Bravo guy. I think she gave it the good old college try with Craig. I'm not going to say they never hooked up, but clearly they're not exclusively dating. I don't know that they hooked up. I just have to imagine that on the heels of his split with Paige, Sally throwing herself at him during filming may have resulted in something that we may or may not see. And
Yeah.
Sally is single, and she wants that effect. We see it happen. One Bravo lab plus another Bravo lab equals major Bravo fame. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm here for this as far as a great BravoCon hookup. I just don't know if logistically it's going to make sense unless Sally is willing to move, because Steven really probably can't. The other little piece of tea that we got from the cocktailer who was at that event is that Allie, so Allie is Jesse's wife. So Allie has the dark hair.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. No. I'm thinking of Allie on Southern. So Allie from
Vanderpump.
James's
Kennedy's ex. Yeah.
girlfriend from Vanderpump, who is now been filming for Southern Hospitality, said that they don't think that Allie likes Sally.
So Sally told a cocktailer. So this cocktailer who was hanging out at the McBee/Craig fabric event was like, oh, is Allie filming for Southern Hospitality? And Sally was like, yes, she is, but Allie doesn't like me because Allie has a crush on Craig. So
Right.
Allie from Vanderpump, James Kennedy's ex, we know, we'll see her on Southern Hospitality. Her parents live in Charleston. Apparently she did like a short-term rental. I think she's already back in LA. In any event, Allie has a crush on Craig. So she doesn't like Sally because it's very obvious that Sally was definitely interested in Craig. I guess it didn't pan out, so now she's moving on to Steve McBee. But how funny is that?
It is funny. Of course, Craig is so cute. You know, we think he's such a cutie. So, of course, they all have crushes on him.
But
and he's
wait,
single.
somebody else told me that when I posted this, they were like, B, I know that Allie has hung out with Austin a couple of times. Now, they meant it like hooked up. So I don't know if Sally doesn't know this. So Allie had a crush on Craig, but ended up hooking up with Austin. It sounds so Vanderpump and so Southern Charm. And we know these
Southern
people all
Charm.
hook up. And like, okay, not for anything. If you're a young 28-year-old girl, as Allie is, I don't even know how old she is, I'm just going to guess, and you're in Charleston, and Austin and Craig are both single, and you shoot your shot with Craig, but it doesn't really pan out, and Austin shows interest, is it the worst thing in the world for her to hook up with him? No, I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Allie can do Allie.
And Allie also firsthand knows that coupling up with somebody on Bravo can help you with your own career because she did it with James.
Exactly. What about the other cocktailer who wrote us saying that they met some of the Southern Hospitality folks at Watch What Happens Live?
Yes. Do you want to share what they said?
So they said Joe and Maddie were super cute together, which I think is so great. Michaels is a giant. He does seem tall, but I guess it sounds like he's
In the
super
pictures
fit.
the cocktailer sent me, he's like tall, like Austin tall.
Yeah. And then it said Joe says he loves the Summer House guys and that they're really good buddies. He's going to Carl's bar opening and he golfs with Shep and Austin and that they're cool. He also said that he and Maddie were not surprised with what happened with James, that he's a good DJ, but a different person when he's not DJing. I mean, not a big surprise to anybody. As far as I'm concerned, in the words of Meredith Marks, James can leave.
James can leave, except he's DJing at Sir. So, like, I feel like we're going to see him on the Vanderpump spinoff. And
Oh my God.
yeah,
Why does Lisa support these men?
it's very annoying.
Okay, so speaking of McBees, we got another email. It says, coming soon, East Coast McBees, ? Ain't that something entertainment, which is casting for Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and Real Housewives of Orange County, is also casting for multi-generational blue-collar family dynasties in Boston and Philly, which would be similar to McBee's. And it says, however, we know with Rhode Island, they began casting for Italian families and switched it to Housewives after meeting with women. So the same could happen there too. Stay tuned.
So another email came in from the same email address that then said, subject, coming soon to Boise, Idaho. Ain't That Something Entertainment is currently casting for the elite of Boise, Idaho. With Potomac, Salt Lake, and Rhode Island, Bravo is into casting smaller cities that will surprise audiences. And I am hearing... okay, that was the email. Now I'm reading what I wrote. I'm also hearing women are still talking about filming in Chicago. Is that greenlit? I don't know. Is it Bravo? I don't know. We know that they definitely did a sizzle reel. We had pictures of women in Chicago filming a few months back. Remember, we had all that intel about Rhode Island, and then before we knew it, it was true. I do believe the same thing will happen with Chicago. And I do believe the smaller cities, the family dynasties, people are eating the McBees up. And people from small towns, if we've learned anything from shows like the McBees, like Salt Lake City, they want the fame, they bring it. And they also kind of don't care. Like, the McBees don't seem to care about keeping up appearances. Like, where they live, they're the main event. And, I mean, they expose it all, every one of them. So I absolutely believe this. This is what people want. People are over the produced housewives of big cities. Like, look at how much trouble they're having casting New York as an example.
Well, and like, think about Love by Nader. Love by Nader, McBee's. People are saying the same thing about both, even though they're very different shows, which is it reminds them of old school reality TV. And I think that's what so many of us are craving, is to actually see these real lives and not these people who are just clout chasing. Family dynasties are interesting, seeing the competition between the siblings and the years of hurt from the divorce and how the family all is still dealing with the after today. So I think it's good proof that reality TV doesn't have to be all about glitz and glamour like a housewife show to be interesting. I also do think, though, that McBee Dynasty picked up after we started telling everyone how much we liked it.
Oh my God, so many of you guys started watching because of that. And shout out to Steve McBee for coming on the pod. Galena liked one of my posts and I was like, I'd love to have you on. And she asked me to reach out to her, I guess her talent person. So if you guys are interested, let us know. And I think it would be fun to have Galena on. I kind of want to wait because they're like filming season 3. And because these people are such newbies, she may give us some stuff.
Oh,
so I'd like to
awesome.
wait a little bit into filming, catch her off guard, if you will.
The sentencing for Steve Sr. is, I want to say next week or the week after. I think it's October. I want to say October 6th. Don't go after me, guys, if I got the date wrong, but it's around that because it was supposed to be in September and they moved it to early October. So that's coming up. So there will be some interesting fallout that I'm sure the Bravo cameras will be following all of that.
Yeah, and Steve, I'm sure, would even be willing, Steve Jr., to come back for that, too, to check.
Yeah. So we have some scoop on the Summer House spinoff. I don't know if you guys follow Dumois, but she posted a picture of Kyle filming with some dude that was called an unknown. Of course, nothing gets by the cocktailers. Cocktailers knew him. They said he owns a ton of businesses, dates a younger influencer, and has been friends with Kyle for years. He is definitely going to be on the Summer House spinoff. And obviously, guys, we'll share more when we can.
I'm going to hold off on the name. And I make that decision because it is not someone's name we've ever heard. It's not like Lindsay, who always posts her friend Yvonne Major or some of the other names that we constantly see tagged. This guy he's in real estate. He seems to live a very jet set lifestyle with his influencer girlfriend, clearly has a ton of money. He's just not somebody we know of yet. A lot of you guys are asking me, is Carl going to be on it? I really don't see him in full-time capacity. Him and Luke, interestingly, have been hanging out and posting a lot. Clearly, they're two that are on the outskirts of this show, hoping to get on. And it's always possible, guys, because sometimes they get these new people and they sign them on. And as they're filming, the people are bombing. They're not bringing what they want. And production will reach out to say, Carl, look, They just brought Danielle Cabral into the fold after test filming because clearly a couple of those girls they test filmed with sucked. And they were like, you know what? Bring Danielle back. She was good enough. We'll tell her these are the parameters. You know what I'm saying? Like this sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's totally possible we see Carl. He certainly won't be full time because believe me, he would have made sure his name was in the People article. Luke, you guys know, cocktailers know, we've gone into detail on our subscription site about the why with Luke. I don't think Bravo is interested. Shout out to Lindsay, though, for always pulling for her friends because she really does.
Yeah.
Try to get them back on the show. I'm sure she was helpful with Andrea when they came. I'm sure that her and Kyle were like, what about Andrea? Him and Lexi live in the city. Like, they're going to be starting a family soon. The audience loves him, which is all true. If you're doing a show, the reason Andrea was cut was because they wanted singles in Summer House, except for really established people. Like, they're not cutting Paige. They're not cutting Kyle and Amanda. But the others, they wanted to be single and flirty. This show is a couples show. I'm sure Andrea is a pleasure for production to work with. He probably makes them cappuccino.
Probably. I'm just going to say it. People might get mad at me for this. You might get mad at me for this. I don't think you will, though. Carl does not have main character energy.
Never has.
Yeah. I think when he was dating and drinking and kind of being a dick, like that was one thing. And then him and Lindsay. But I just don't see it. I really do want to see him be successful with Soft Bar, though.
I'm actually going to go to Soft Bar.
For him.
Can I tell you something funny? I haven't got there yet because, guys, I mean, we just had the whole parenting conversation. I don't have freaking time.
I know.
With that said, I was driving to my family's house in Staten Island, and I was literally driving past Soft Bar. And I said to my husband, and what's interesting is like my husband watches Summer House and like really likes Carl, you know, as we all do. Like he's like, he thinks he's a good dude. He's impressed with, you know, his sobriety. And we all know that that's not easy, et cetera, et cetera. So we were actually in that area of Brooklyn over the summer and we went by and it was like nowhere near done. So kudos to them for because they got it done pretty quickly. Well, maybe it wasn't summer. Maybe it was like spring that we were there. In any event, I was like, oh, I really want to go. He's like, I'd go with you. Like, that'd be cool. And there was so much traffic, so we didn't stop. Kyle was actually there the time they posted, like the time and the night I was there. And I was like, oh, that would have been cool to like get a picture of them together and then afterwards post and like from my account and have them both be like, wait, who was that? Because you know everybody in there is going to take a picture of them, right?
Right.
So I was like, that would have been fun. But
well, speaking of main character energy, West Wilson and Mia from Southern Hospitality were spotted, and you shared it on social at a cozy dinner together. What do we know about this?
Okay, so Mia had a boyfriend, but a little bit before she was posted with West at this what looked like a date, right? What looked like a date. Mia had posted something cryptic, and it had sounded like her and the boyfriend had split. So after I shared the picture of them out to dinner, one of you guys commented on the post, and they were like, "B, just saw Mia yesterday," which was like a couple days after this picture, in Charlotte with her boyfriend. They looked very much together. So like, okay, young couples, it's very possible that they had a fight. She came to New York for whatever reason. Wes took her out. And then her and the boyfriend spoke on the phone. They made up. And we could have just seen like that play out in front of us. Yeah, I don't know. So I don't really know. It could have also just been, West also does, I don't know, does he still work for Complex or whatever? We also know at one time he had a pod, he interviews people. It could have been something business related. They could both be working with the same brand on a deal and met up. You know, it could be a lot of different things.
Yeah. My only thing that raised my eyebrows about that picture is that if you go out with a work person, it's not usually to a like very dimly lit, candle lit kind of place. So that it was the environment that also just made me wonder if they were.
Sometimes, listen, Mia is not the most recognizable Bravo lab. I don't mean that in a shady way. She's just not. A lot of people wouldn't know her if they walked past her on the street unless they loved Southern Hospitality. And the same kind of goes for Wes. He's newer. So when a picture gets out, you do wonder who sent it. Could you have asked the waitress to take the picture? And did you yourself send it to Dumois? Possible.
Could be.
Because if her and the boyfriend had just had a fight and then the picture got posted and then she was in Charlotte making up with him, it worked.
Savage.
And if she was in a committed relationship and there wasn't a beef with her and her boyfriend, she would have gone to that dinner with somebody else, even if it was like the brand deal person. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that it was the three of that. Like, so there's all different. She could have been making her boyfriend jealous is what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I'm picking it up.
I got a little tea though.
Oh,
I don't really know if it's tea so much as speculation that I believe to be true, which is a lot of stuff that we talk about here. I love when people like quote us and they're like, oh, and they said this. And it's like, guys, some of this is our opinion. It's like you also make educated guesses.
yeah, exactly. But we get to, at least the people do quote us, and at least they're giving us the credit, because a lot of people don't.
Because it's like we always say, it's puzzles, right? I know this and this because several different people told me. So from that, I deduct this. So I was speaking with a cocktail source who I love, and they said to me, I said to them, because we were discussing the picture of him and Mia, and I'm like, I don't know what it is, but he's really grown on me. I mean, like looks wise, when he first came on the show, I wouldn't have, not that he's bad looking, but like it wouldn't have been, I was like, ooh, he's so cute. But in this picture and in recent pictures, he looks so cute. And the source was like, B. And the source is a guy, right? So sometimes women can tell women have had done stuff because maybe they've done it, like lip filler or whatever. He's like, he's had some good filler work done to his face. Now, I'm not saying, I'm not hating, just so you guys know, but a bunch of you guys have said to me, why does West look cuter? So yes, I think it's because he's grown on us, but I also think that he may have actually had, I don't know if you guys know, there's this comedian, Matt Rife. I don't even follow him, but I remember there was a scandal and that his face looked completely different. And now we know young men, as they become more mature, a lot of times their jawline does get naturally more defined, but a lot of times they get filler. And when they're famous, it's more likely and it makes them look better. So yes, I absolutely think that West had something done to his face because he's definitely rocking a more Brad Pitt jawline.
Good for him.
Yeah, which is totally, and I am not saying this in a shady way.
Yeah.
Women do it, men do it also. Somebody who's in their circle told me that Jesse, they had heard that West and Jesse were in consideration for the spinoff, but that West had some salty comments about it not being a good fit. So I don't know what that's about, but this person said that they knew Jesse from the beginning till now, and that now he has a huge ego and acts like a celebrity, which we've heard before.
Yeah, that's kind of a bummer to hear. But I say, I mean, and I think we all agree, like, let Wes and Jesse start the next generation on Summer House. We don't need to see them everywhere all the time. And we celebrate plastic surgery here.
Yes. I mean, on most of this, I've never done anything beyond Botox. And like, I've done a little filler here and there, but nothing.
But I celebrate it because I will. As you guys know, one day, there will be a day.
There will be a day.
So good for him.
I think we're just going to have to take the week off too, because we're just going to do it at the same time when we do it.
Yeah, we are.
Maybe we'll finally show ourselves. Listen, once we get the perfect faces.
Only post facelift.
But you know what I am a little scared of?
What?
Because what stops you from plastic surgery, or at least me, is like the fear, right? Like the recovery and like the pain and like, oh God, what if I die on the table? But once you do it, you can see, it's kind of like tattoos. People like get a tattoo and then they keep going. Like I could see how it would be addictive. And then you end up looking cray-cray.
It's a good thing it's expensive.
You know whose face looks really good? And I know she like had work done, but it honestly, at the beginning of Housewives, it was not great, and now it's so refined, is Angie K. I feel like she did something between last season and this season where her face is looking fresh and beautiful.
Why do I feel like she admitted to it?
I think she's definitely admitted to like nose job and stuff, but something about it now just looks like whatever tweak she got is really working for her.
And I'm like out driving carpool last night. I'm getting these texts from B and from Tracy, who you guys know. And Tracy is like, are you guys watching? And I was obviously still driving. She's like, what is in Lisa's confessional in Salt Lake City? Like, what is going on with her eye? So like, if you see it, look at like to the TV, the eye that's on the right, but which would be her left. It looks like a completely different people did the makeup on just that eye.
So I posted a picture just because I liked like whatever she said in the confessional. I reposted it. And everybody, like I almost took the picture down. When everybody comments on something, I almost can't even keep up with it. And I'm like, okay, I got to take this down. I did it. But they're all like, what's going on with her eye? I'm like, I don't know. Bad makeup?
Yeah, I don't know. And I also, anyway, it's not like the eyes weren't symmetrical or something like that. It's just literally looked like a much more heavy-handed person did just one of the eyes. It's very noticeable if you guys haven't watched Salt Lake City yet.
Maybe she had like, and listen, I know especially like with this head cold, I didn't even want to go on camera to say hi to, because sometimes I just feel so puffy and like it could be something like that, a pink eye situation.
Yeah, it could.
We love you guys.
Yeah.
Till next time.
Bye, everybody.
What's up, cocktailers? We want to thank you, as always, for listening to Cocktails and Gossip. Because of you, we've hit some amazing milestones, had some hilarious conversations, and have grown a truly amazing community. If you haven't already followed our podcast, hit the follow button in the top right of your Apple Podcast player, the follow button under the show logo on Spotify, or the subscribe button on Google Podcasts. We thrive on you, our audience. So make sure to tell all your gossip-loving friends about us too. And if you want to get all the tea, join our membership cocktail party by going to bravoandcocktails.com/join. Our members get access to the exclusive tea we post, the weekly podcast without ads, plus another additional bonus podcast every week. And of course, members also get to join us on our monthly live cocktail party Zoom, where we talk about the latest tea and even share tea that's just too hot to put in writing. Last, but maybe best, our members get access to the Cocktail Party Discord, where you can chat with Amanda, me, and all of the other cocktailers as well. There are always some great convos and hilarious comments happening in Discord. Thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate you.